Gonna reveal, I've only read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom this year. Like, that's all I've read in 2024. That's it. So I'm really trying to like amp it up. I'm reading 100 Years of Solitude right now. This is my copy. I'm done with the first chapter, which means I'm only 18 pages in. Then I just want to get some reading done. Like, how long are the next chapters? Chapter 2 is on 37. I feel like that's probably as far as I could get. And chapter 4, oh my gosh, 4 is on 59. So like, lofty goal would be to get to page 59. If not, it would just be 37. And then that would take me from here to this gap. Yeah, this is my bedside table stack. Well, it's more edge of my bed stack, and bedside table stack is what will be after this. So that's my goal for tonight. Hopefully page 59. If not, page 37. Or, I mean, I can stop in between a chapter, but I would really like to get to the end of a chapter. And I just said all of that while my hair looks absolutely insane. And then I will be back, and you'll see my bungalow. It's not a bungalow, it's just where all of my squishy things sit in the corner. I'd really like to make some progress. I really want to, like, fix my phone and screen consumption to really, you know, still use it, but like how I did when I was younger. I wouldn't say I'm crazy. Wouldn't say I'm like super crazy addicted, but yeah. I, like most people, have some kind of something with my phone. Anyway, I'm gonna go do that. So I'll see you when I'm reading, and then I'll see you after. I could only read one more chapter. I read really slow, so it's 12:55, but you know, that's like 1 hour of reading. It's a much more thought needed kind of read, if that makes sense. Like I really need to be paying attention. Yeah, I am a little confused, to be honest with you. I think that it is just like the way that the paragraphs, or they're more like sections. I feel like if there were like page breaks, then it would be slightly easier to understand. But I know that that's a very like stylized, almost YA form of writing. So this is where I am now. Okay. I left my notes there on the last page of the chapter. I would say that it was a little confusing right at the beginning. I think that it's just, it doesn't inform you as like a reader outright when we are in like a different time frame, or say when it switches from one family member to another. That's just like the specific way that this book is written, but it's something I need to get used to. That's all I got tonight. I did not get very far. I'm very tired. My AC was out all weekend, so I'm like I want to sleep in the cold. Okay, well, it's been a few days, and well, I haven't read anything since what I read that night, so I'm still just about to start chapter 3, so I'm on page 37. Something about this book is like so hard to read, and I think that I feel like it's just like the way we have trope. I call it like the tropification of books, which I'm not original for that, but like the way we have just tropes to classify books and to get people intrigued by books. So I'm reading this, which is a classic piece of literature. While it is from 1967 and has like, I would say, a harder to grasp use of language than we're used to in the modern day. It's written really clearly and coherently. It has a very specific paragraph and time style. It's not like, oh look, enemies to lovers. Oh look, hurt comfort. And I also have like a terrible attention span these days. I just wish that like my brain was not corrupted, I guess, by like the way I consumed Tumblr and fandom media and like stan Twitter and fan fiction and wrote things like that. 5:42 now. I'm on page 37. I read pretty slow, so in about an hour, because I'll probably read till 6:40. But I would like to read more. I would love to read more. I'm so tired of just being like, okay. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna go read now. Well, immediate change of plans. Apparently we need to leave a lot sooner to get to where we're going. So I only read like a single page. This did not work. All right, so it's been a very long time. It's been weeks. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not a fast reader by any means, and a book of this level, of course, is not gonna take me like a single weekend to finish. I don't know what I thought. Right now, I am on 286 of 415. Here's the thing, bud. I need to finish this by tomorrow night. It is Wednesday, August 21st right now. I need to finish this by 4 o'clock Thursday, the 22nd. Because I'm going out of town, and I am not bringing this one with me. I want to finish this and have a different book, because there's not enough left for me to think that it's like smarter to bring this. I feel like it would be smarter to bring a new book. The book that I wanted to read next, I don't have an English copy. I only have a copy, well, it's not even mine. My partner's copy is in Spanish. As much as I would like to be able to fully read a book in Spanish, I can't do that. I mean, a kid's book, I could do that. So I can't read what I want to read, which is House of the Spirits, because I don't have a copy, have not found one at Half Price Books. So I have some contenders, because I would like to bring fiction. Essentially, I wouldn't say speed running, but we're gonna speed run the end of 100 Years of Solitude. I've only got about, I think, 120 pages left. Like yesterday, I read about 80 across the whole day. So I believe that I can accomplish this in 2 days. If I read 80 today and 80 tomorrow during the day, then I'm done. Right? That's more pages than there is left in this book. So if I just lock in, then I'll be able to do it. I guess, update on my feelings. In between the last time when I was reading and did this, I've been reading a lot since then, and where I am now, I have watched a documentary on the author, which has helped a lot in understanding what is going into this book. It doesn't necessarily help me understand the book, but I find it helpful. It explains aspects of his life, things that make Gabriel Garcia Marquez him, like things that make Marquez himself, and like aspects of his life that go into this, like his home life, the small towns that he was raised in, like in the Caribbean, on the coast of Colombia, like these things that help build out the story and help you figure out like what Macondo is. I was looking for book recommendations from authors from Colombia, because someone was like, I think that 100 Years of Solitude is too big of a book, and I think it's something that I'm not going to easily understand. And someone was like, consider that there's not an overarching plot here. The plot is this family. The story about the Buendias. It's a story about a family and where they're from, and how that could be like extrapolated across not just an image of where he spent like the first 9 years of his life, but like it can be spread across the rest of Colombia and then the rest of Latin America. I think that was very helpful. Hoping that I finish either today or tomorrow, and then I will give you an update then. So This is an end of, before I have other things to do, check in. I look like this. I'm going to ballet. It is 4:46, and I am on page 359. I definitely got a little further. Of course, this book was a cultural phenomenon when it came out in 1967. I'm not saying I don't understand it. I don't know how people got this book and they could not put it down. I don't know, because just me sitting around this morning and reading from 286 to 359, I was like, I described it earlier as like I felt decrepit. Obviously, 100 Years of Solitude, there's such an air about this book that I was like, I need to put this down. Like, I have to take breaks in between reading because it's so much. So much is occurring. Of course, there were terrible things happening. It covers some very important aspects of Colombian history, right? Like, but it's just the solitude, dare I say. Dare I say the solitude. Also, I was getting really tired. I actually think I might be able to finish this tonight because there's only 417 pages. That's my update as of now. Hopefully I'll finish it tonight. That's my goal. That's my goal. So I lied. I didn't finish it last night, but I finished it this morning. I have officially finished 100 Years of Solitude. Yeah. Because races condemned to 100 Years of Solitude did not have a second opportunity on Earth. It's a good ending to this book. The final discovery of the parchments and that they outlined the next 100 years of the Buendia family. Obviously, it's poetic. It's a book, but very interesting. From a certain point, you have the main members of the family that we follow this whole book. At that point, the main family members have all died, and we're left with newer family members that we know a lot less. So it's not like I think the story was less interesting. I was just like, I don't know these people. You know, some of these characters, they're the first ones from the book, from the beginning. Of course they die. I mean, you know, they may be 120 years old, but at some point, they're going to die. It was a very interesting read. I've never read something that is categorized as magical realism. I might have read something that probably was magical realism, I just didn't know. Like, I think in the US, it's not a very prominent genre. So when people see things that are like, they would be magical realism, in turn they're like, this is just incomplete fantasy, or something that doesn't make sense that would be in the real world. That's something interesting that I took away from this, just like the difference in genre that we just don't really utilize in the States. The main things that I took from this: one, I kept describing my reading yesterday as I felt decrepit. Like, I had to stop, because there's just such a continued, dare I say, sense of solitude. I think I talked about this in the last one, where I was like, how at the time did people, they could not put the book down? And I was like, you couldn't? I had to. It's not the events that occur, it is the overall theme, or not meaninglessness, but like, no one remembers this family. It was that was a huge thing. And then two ways that this man writes, the way he describes the human physique, I could almost describe as horrifying. It is so, like, visceral sometimes. The way they would describe, specifically, like, the older they got, and I was like, it's so, like, decrepit is a good word. After a certain point, each character is described in, like, this decrepit, decaying way. And the way he writes sex is... Let me find one, because there's one very close to the end that, like, I just read today. The description was so many words. Yeah, I literally wrote, the way he writes sex is too much for me. You can see it here. There was, like, this extrapolation of language to describe things that I have never seen them described that way before. And that's what the sex and the descriptions of humans felt like in this book. Oh my god. Like, I've never read sex written like that before. And I'm not, like, an avid reader of something that has smut in it. It's not very often, especially in fiction books. I don't, like, seek that out in books. Overall, I think it was a very interesting book. I clearly has a lot of value and like changed the face of magical realism and writing in Latin America forever. I think it's very hard to grasp. Even after watching that documentary and seeing people say that don't consider it like a book where you're trying to figure out the plot, I was still a little okay. Like, it made it a lot easier knowing things about him, watching the documentary about him, and knowing that I really shouldn't be looking for a plot. That helped. But at the same time, it was a lot. I have been told that, like, this is actually a harder magical realism book to start with, which I could agree with. It's not even like the magical elements, it's just his language is so dense. I did find myself reading a lot slower than I normally do when I already read pretty slow. Overall, it was a very interesting and insightful read, especially because you get bits of Colombian history in here. You have like the Banana Massacre, you have references to the 1,000-Year War. I don't know what's next on my list. Because after this, I was like, I actually kind of need to read something that's like light, but maybe my brain needs a break and just needs to read something easy. Easy in comparison to this, that's for sure. I'll figure it out. I don't know what I'm reading. Don't ask. Maybe I will read... What book is that? The Witch's Heart. I might, because I already started a long time ago. That's all I've got. That's the end of this. Do what you will. I'll put little bubbles if I know how. Yay! I did it! We're done.